Welcome back everyone to my N-scale model railroad layout. I've been working on the mountain scenes a lot since the last video that I made. So you can see here I've completely covered the entire mountains with Sculptamold. I tried to smooth it out pretty well to make the slope up to the mountain and up to where the road's going to be look relatively natural. So it's actually still kind of wet here because this is like all Sculptamold because the foam kind of ends here. So it's been drying already for 24 hours, so I'll let it dry for probably a couple more days before I start sanding it and painting it. But I covered all the track with some masking tape just to keep the rails from getting any plaster on them. And then you can see here kind of where I glued in those plaster of Paris rock molds. I filled in all the gaps with the Sculptamold. And then I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna go through and sand it off because it's kind of rough still. But also around here, kind of want it to look rough because it's supposed to be more of a cliff face. I also glued in a rock mold here that I made with plaster of Paris in here, and then covered that all with the Sculptamold. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with how this mountain is coming along. Over here on the tunnel scene, I put Sculptamold all along the inside of the tunnel, and then I went ahead and kind of painted these tunnel portals, but didn't quite let it dry enough. So when I put some Sculptamold on it and the water and stuff kind of washed it off. So I'll have to go back over and paint that again, but no big deal there. But I kind of tried to blend the Sculptamold up into the edge of the 3D printed tunnel portal. I'll end up painting the inside of the tunnel, probably a dark gray or a black color. And then I also went ahead and started doing some Sculptamold on the outside of the mountain, kind of where it blends into the ground level. Over here, this is the top part of this mountain, which I will glue down and work on after all of the inside of the tunnel is complete, after it's all ballasted and painted and everything. But so that's kind of why the Sculptamold ends here, because once this is glued down, I'll continue the Sculptamold up and finish that entire scene. But for now, that's going to remain off so that I can work inside of the tunnel. And then here at the train station area, I painted the AC tower, just kind of a test. It doesn't look that great. The paint bleeds pretty bad on the 3D print PLA, so I'll probably experiment with maybe making the windows and the doors a separate piece that I glue on, and then just have the walls of the buildings like a flat piece. That would make it easier to paint them different colors. I also printed out this huge station. It's kind of just a test, kind of a prototype, because it's not exactly correct yet. I'm actually going to be taking a trip to Marion to take some pictures of the real station and try to take some measurements so that I can get a more accurate model created. But this was basically created just by using Google Earth and measuring the distances there, and then looking at pictures online to try to estimate the height of the different angles of the roof and the building. I think overall the height of the building is too short. It's either too short or they're too wide. Something doesn't quite look right yet. But like I said, these were printed really quickly, like relatively quickly. I mean, it's 3 pieces here, so that's a piece, then this big piece here, and there's the seam there, and then this was a piece. And then I just hot glued those together and painted the roof just to kind of see what it would look like. You know, like I said, none of this is going to be the permanent buildings. It's all just kind of an experiment for now. But that's roughly where it's going to be. And then there's going to be the caboose here. I'll probably buy some like wire fences to go around here, because that's kind of how it is. There'll be a parking lot here, and then maybe another parking lot there. In real life, there's another building here, and then the road is actually further back, but I don't really care about that, so I'm just adding my road right here, like I talked about in the last video. Yeah, and then the other road's going to come across here. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how it's looking. I think the next step after all of this Sculptamold dries, I'm going to paint it. I'm going to paint the inside of the tunnel a ground cover color. So I actually just picked this up from Home Depot. It's a flat paint, just like regular house wall paint, but so this color is kind of a tan, kind of a medium tan color. Seemed like that would be a good color for the ground cover. So I'll be painting the inside of the tunnel that, and then ballasting it, and then I'll glue that top piece on, and then I'll finish the Sculptamold. And once I have all the Sculptamold on this mountain completed, I'm going to paint all of the scenery ground cover this color with this paint before I start doing any of the actual like grass and trees and that kind of stuff. So yeah, pretty excited. Not going to be able to run any trains for a while because I have all the track masked off and I have a lot of cleaning to do, so probably won't run any trains until after I have it all painted, all the foam painted. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.